What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of The David Lopez Show, presented by Passion Park Entertainment. Passion Park, ENT Passion Park in the building. You already know this is a very exciting episode, a very special time of the year, a very joyous time of the year, a very festive time of the year. Hope you all are enjoying your holiday season. Maybe getting some time to relax, spend some time with the family and loved ones. You know, that's important. Hopefully we're all getting that. And with that being said, before we get into today's amazing episode with a lot of cool stuff, a lot of year-end recap stuff, and a lot of things that need to be talked about, all right? Need to be talked about. Before we get into that, I'm going to give you guys a brief little word from our sponsor who's me. So it's an ad from me. So enjoy.
Oh, hello there. And happy holidays from Passion Park. I'm very glad to have you. I hope you're enjoying the season. We are over here at Passion Park truly in the holiday spirit. And with that being said, we would like you to join us by buying some new merch. Yes, if you are looking for presents for your family, what's better than a So Much More 2 t-shirt? The official merchandise of my new album. Passion Park logo on the back, So Much More 2 bench on the front. The bench has graphics all over it, including a middle finger. That seems real festive. That seems appropriate. Happy fucking holidays. And also, I would like to thank those who signed our happy holiday card. Our good friend RPM, who joined us in celebrating the holidays with a very festive turd. Santa turd. King Santa turd. We're very appreciative to all who have been joining us over the year and over all the years. And we plan on enjoying the holidays with you for many years to come. I would like to say thank you and happy holidays from Passion Park.
All right, well, thank you for listening to a word from our sponsor who looked an awful lot like me and had a weird accent that only lasted for like 30 seconds, and then it went away, and then it kind of briefly came back, and then he was just oddly, I don't know, I don't know if he's going to keep the job, but thank you for tuning into that, and I do mean that from the bottom of my heart. Happy holidays, and thank you for everybody who's been supporting us over the years, and as we keep growing, it's very important. So as I mentioned briefly before I sent you off to that ad, today's episode is special. It's kind of a year recap, as it's going to be it's the first time I'm doing a best of type thing. I didn't want to wait till we got to too many interviews and too many episodes to do a best of, because, well, then it makes it a lot more work for me, a lot harder to do. So after the first 20 episodes, which really was about I want to say 14 or 15 interviews. I went through those, picked out some clips that I really enjoyed and liked, and I'm gonna play those for you guys, and I'll give like brief intros so you can pick up where we're at in that conversation, and then obviously if you enjoy those clips, make sure to go check out the whole episode, because for most of these interviews they're anywhere between 20 to hour long conversations, 20 minutes to like an hour long conversations that I had with all these incredible artists. So for those of you who have been watching the show, you know that it's kind of taken on a weird layout in that the first batch of these episodes were shot just for YouTube. I didn't have them on Apple or anything like that, so I didn't have the audio prepared in that kind of manner. And so lately I've been catching up and doing all that, and now we're all caught up as far as the interviews are released on YouTube, and then I re-release them on the podcast app and on normal audio format, and we're all caught up. Meaning that after this best of episode, I'm starting brand new interviews with the first one for it's not really season 2, but essentially it's like a new season because we're starting back up and getting going. Next week will be my first interview for that. So we're gonna keep this thing going. Starting off the new year. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to get some new conversations going. I remember when I started doing this, and I was like in the midst of like having a good talk with these artists like once or twice a week. I felt like I was really getting in a good rhythm of just being in a good place. It's good to it's just good to have good conversations with people, and like this is an excuse to just talk to people for a long time, and I try not to be on my phone or on social media when I'm interviewing people, so it's a good practice to do, even if it's once a week. I just have a long 2-hour conversation with somebody. I think it's good. Got to listen to people. Got to talk to people. So I'm excited to get back into that. And yeah, I feel like I say I'm excited a lot. I feel like that's probably annoying. If you watched the live episode from last week, one of the questions was, what's something that you say or a joke that you say that annoys you a lot or that can annoy other people? I say I'm excited a lot. That might be annoying. It's kind of annoying to me. Wait, there's another phrase I say that I notice I say it all the time is, son of a bitch. Long story short, I definitely say that a fair amount. A lot of those sayings I catch myself saying. A lot of those sayings I catch myself saying. Oh, man. All right. Anyways. Okay, so before we get into the best of with all those awesome clips, I have a couple things I want to talk about. You know, like the normal format we do where we make sure to touch on a couple topics, especially Chicago related. And the first thing that I have to speak about, and I think you guys know that I'm going to get into, I hope you do. If you're a fan of the show, you would know. Our weekly Chicago sports update is about to happen, and you know what the lead topic is. You know. Don't act like you don't fucking know. NFC North champs, baby. Champs. NFC North champs. Go Bears, baby. Go Bears. So what an exciting week to be a Chicago Bears fan. We're getting to the playoffs. We're going to the fucking playoffs. First time since 2010. It's been a hell of a season. Very exciting season. I'm sure you can look back from week one and see that I was not expecting this. So that was super cool, and to do it at home against the Packers, who took us out in that week one debacle where we were up 20-0. They came back. Aaron Rodgers took our hearts out of our chests, took a bite out of it, and then gave it back to us, and we evolved over the season and got the rest of our heart back, and then we took his out and took a poop on it. I'm very, very, very happy with that. It's very optimistic over here in Chicago. With the obviously the Rams and the Saints are the 1 and 2 seed right now. We're the 3 seed. If we feel very strongly is that if we can get a home game, it's gonna be very important. It looks like I think we're like 80 percentile chance to be locked in that 3rd seed. And I think we could win on the road. Saints I'd be a little more worried about being the Saints on the road. But they've been struggling the past couple weeks. And then the Rams, we beat the Rams. Obviously, it was here. But just to be able to play them again, I would be confident. I think we could come through. But man, I was having this conversation with somebody. It's totally different when the Bears are good. Like, I have not been alive for the Bears, to win a Super Bowl. They went to the Super Bowl in 2006, and that was insane. The whole city shut down. Gotta have my coffee. And I feel like it's just different. Like, obviously the Cubs won it all a couple years ago. The Blackhawks won it all, 3 times in my life. And the Bulls when I was younger. Sox won it too. But all those teams, like, all right, Cubs, Sox kind of split. Probably more Cubs fans than Sox, but still, in general, there's a split. Bulls, a fair amount of people care about the Bulls and basketball in general, but a lot of people don't care about the NBA. I don't get it. And then NHL, the Blackhawks being good was amazing, but like, nobody really not nobody, but there's a lot of people who didn't really care about hockey, and then you came on with this, and a whole different thing. The Bears, like, when the Bears are good, like, the whole city likes the Bears. Like, everybody does. And football, that's why football's such a monster. It's this just revenue generator that just, no matter what, it's going to be successful. It's crazy. But I think the city is very, very, I almost said excited again, but I'm going to say it, about this upcoming playoff. The Bears are going to be playing football in January. What? That's insane. That hasn't happened in a while. I don't want to say insane, but it's going to be great. A lot is Crash. You got to stand up here. A lot's dependent on a lot of people are putting a lot of pressure on Mitchell Trubisky here, and I think that's warranted. He was the 2nd overall pick. We have high expectations for him, but he's just got to not throw 3 picks and not blow up. And our defense looks like it can hold down the fort for a while. I heard a great would you rather question yesterday on Waddle and Sylvie. Shout out to Waddle and Sylvie. It's one of my favorite radio shows. Listen to them all the time. Anyways, one of them was would you rather Khalil Mack, which I found out his name is actually pronounced Khalil. He said that in interviews. Khalil, not Khalil. So Khalil Mack and Mitchell Trubisky on the 2006 Bears. So that team that went to the Super Bowl, have those two guys switched out and in there. Or Brian Urlacher and Devin Hester on this year's Bears. Very interesting. Very interesting question. Obviously, Hester and Urlacher, both Hall of Famers. I think I'd go Mitch and Khalil on the 06 Bears. Because I think you give that team any extra weapons, they should have won it. We should have won that Super Bowl that year anyways. They were talking about that game, and I had kind of forgot. Is like we had gotten away from the run game in the second half, tried to throw too much. The interception from Rex was what killed us, and that's the reason we lost that game. It was like a goal line interception, from what I remember. By the way, one of my greatest, fondest sports memories from Chicago in my entire life is Devin Hester returning that opening kickoff of that 2006 Super Bowl. I mean, holy cow. I remember watching that in my basement, just jumping around with my friends. Like, that was insane. Oh, so we are very excited about the possibility that the Bears could keep this going. And it's a very, like, up in the air type year. I mean, like, teams are, like, doesn't feel like there's one just dominant team that you just know is like, I mean, the Chiefs felt that way early on, but now their defense is looking, it looks like that defense might not hold up in the playoffs. The Chargers look very good, but they never have long-term playoff success unless this is finally Phillip Rivers' year to break through. So who knows? But the Bears are the NFC North champs. So that is where we are, and let's get 2 more victories and this season 12-4. That'd be great. Now the final game of the season against the Vikings might not matter for us at all, but I don't want to even let the Vikings in or give them any hope. So if we can finish off 12-4 and see what happens there, that'd be great. That would be phenomenal. I like that Jordan Howard's really getting the ball going downfield the past couple games. I feel like that is a good sign for the playoffs. You know, I do think that Nagy has still got some learning curves that he's got to go through. There's some game management issues for those of you who are watching. There was definitely some, like, I mean, the fake punt debacle didn't work. The Wildcat debacle where Tariq fumbled the switch with Jordan Howard there. You know, sometimes you're like, are you getting too cute with stuff? But at the same time, the whole reason our offense is better than it's ever been is because of Nagy. And so, you know, you take the good with the bad, kind of like the Joe Madden errors those first couple years. And although the Joe Madden errors would probably not be acceptable if Oraldis did. If we didn't win that World Series, I don't know, man. That Oraldis move, putting him in so early, taking out Hendricks in that Game 7, so let's hope something like that doesn't happen in a big game for Nagy down the stretch here, because I really like him, and I really like hearing him talk to the media. He's just like a lot more transparent. Feels like he's actually talking and like willing to share some stuff. Where instead of just being like a dick. I think part of that comes with being like a new coach. He's still naive and like innocent enough to answer those questions. Once you get to like Bill Belichick's age or Greg Popovich's age in the NBA, like they just stop entertaining the bullshit. Just no entertaining of that bullshit. So anyways, that was a little NFL segment, mostly just Bears. Didn't really dabble too much in anything else. Because before we get into the rest of the episode, I have one more sports thing I want to talk about, a little basketball here. Bulls related, the only thing Bulls related I want to talk about was that awesome Bulls Thunder fight the other day. Robin Lopez is an animal. I wouldn't fuck with Robin Lopez. Sideshow Bob, just like his length is long, man. He could throw you a punch from like 8 feet across the floor and still connect with you. And then, like, just run away with his hair flaring behind. Like, nah, he was like a beast. And Grant tried to push him into the crowd, and his angry face is hilarious. So, shout out to Robin Lopez and that angry face. Don't fuck with the Lopezes, man. Don't fuck with a Lopez, all right? I was on Twitter this morning and read a very interesting tweet from a fellow Chicago artist by the name of Illy. Formerly known as the Boy Illinois, for those of you who are following him. Very fun Twitter follow, so make sure you go check him out. But I like the sports talks that a lot of times he'll bring up some interesting points, NBA-wise specifically. I would imagining, I don't know, I haven't spoken to him, but I'm imagining he has a basketball background, as do I, as some of the points he makes I think are very, very valid and good, interesting talking points. So this morning, I read a tweet from him. I should just pull this up so I don't fuck the stat up. It's about James Harden's free throw visits. Now, we all know he gets to the line a ridiculous amount of time, but I'm going to read this stat because it is just mind-blowing. And frankly, I'm more amazed that more people aren't talking about it. I mean, it's just like, found the stat, and it is pretty mind-blowing. Obviously, these guys have played longer than Harden, but it goes without saying that I don't think it's going to match up. So Michael Jordan, 5,590 more field goals than free throws. Okay, so almost 6,000 more field goals than free throws. LeBron, very close to that, about 5,395, so 5,500 almost. Kobe, about 4,000 more field goals than free throws. Kevin Durant, about 2,200 more field goals than free throws. James Harden, 193 more free throws than field goals. Wow. This morning I saw that stat and that is amazing. Are you kidding me? How is that even possible? But it just really goes to show, like, my response to that was game flow killer, because that's what he is. It's hard to watch James Harden even though you like his game and you're like, oh my God, he's impressive how he gets to the rim every play. But like literally, you can't watch. There's no like 5 minutes in a row of that game. It's just like there's always going to be a stop. And another point I heard was that the thing that Harden does so well is as soon as a team makes a run, he figures out how to get a foul or something like that. He finds out when to get fouled. But he just has mastered the art of how to get fouled in this game. He has mastered this NBA. But it's not fun. It's not fun. We got to figure it out. The refs got to figure out how to handle that. That is just a mind-blowing stat, though. Just, wow. Holy shit. Man. But, if you guys saw that step back, some of it was coming from that, but that step back that he took the other day where he took like 8 feet, it was like a double step back. He was like, bat, bat, and he popped back. Just insane. Everybody was like, what is that? Oh, man. Well, the NBA is great, and for all basketball fans who are like, oh, college is better. College is great and it's entertaining as well. But the NBA is the best basketball players in the world, so I've never been on board with people who are like, college basketball is better. It's not. There are a lot of flaws in the NBA, and things like the traveling and the foul situation and those kind of things need to be fixed. But it is such an entertaining league. What was great was last week. Who was it? The Nuggets or whatever? They trolled Steph Curry because if you guys know, Steph Curry went on Kent Bazemore and Vince Carter's podcast last week and mentioned the idea of maybe us not actually landing on the moon. And he just mentioned the idea of it, little conspiracy theory idea. And then the Nuggets, I think it was the Nuggets or some team when Steph was being announced for his starting lineup, they put like the moon landing up there. Like that type of shit's cool because I think the NBA has more personality than a lot of other leagues. And and they don't take themselves too serious with some of those things. Some of the players probably do, but Steph at least doesn't. He was able to laugh about it, it seems. So those things are great. Love the NBA. Love that. And love the Bears, really, because the Bulls, I just need us to keep losing. See, like last week, the Bulls, we beat the Spurs randomly, which is cool. Nice victory. Chris Dunn was balling out. But you know what? We need to lose. We need Zion Williamson. The problem is the Bulls are going to go on this like weird 8-game winning streak in February or like win like 10 of 12. And then we're going to get like the 12th seed or like the 11th seed in the East and just get like the 10th pick again. Like what? We're just not bad enough. We're so bad of a franchise that we're never bad enough. God damn it. Depressing. This sucks. All right. Well, that's your Chicago sports update. I'm not going to get any baseball stuff in here as we're still seeing about some of the free agent signings. The White Sox are very excited. They have potential to get a couple of these big guys, maybe. I know Manny Machado just took a meeting with the Sox, and the Bryce Harper rumors are circulating, but we'll leave that be. I have an idea of a couple baseball insiders I might bring in when we really want to talk baseball and chop it up in that regard. But that is your Chicago sports update for this last week of 2018. I guess it's not technically the last week, but it might be the last episode, or at least the last sports update. So cheers to that, my good peoples. And we are going to get into the bulk of the episode now. So let's do it. All right. So, as I said, we're doing this. This will be our first ever best of episode. This is the best of our interviews so far for the David Lopez Show. As we are coming to an end of 2018, we are very fortunate to have had a lot of amazing artists and amazing guests and a lot of great conversations, and we're going to keep that going as we head into 2019 and move towards the forward, move towards the future. If you haven't noticed, I have not had my morning marijuana yet. So not quite as smooth as I should be, but I want to break down a couple awesome moments from these interviews. And first I'm gonna start. I'm not gonna introduce all of the moments, but what I'm gonna do is kind of break them into categories and where they go. And these first couple clips I'm gonna share with you are a couple artists that explaining how they decided they were going to get into their craft, or just the kinds of emotions they went through deciding to be an actor or an artist or whatever their craft is. So these first couple moments are a couple of the friends of the show talking about how they got into their craft and what molded them into the artists that they currently are. So enjoy. Why music though? Like, when did that? Or when did you know that you were going to try to, like, actually pursue being an artist? Like, 'cause I understand you, like, mess around with music a little bit, but to actually, like, go for it. Why'd you pick music, I guess? Because you seem like you have...
I had just got out of jail. I was in this really messed up situation, me being something that I wasn't supposed to be.
There it is.
You know what I'm saying? Trying to, like, sell drugs like an idiot.
Yeah?
Get caught up, boom, boom, boom. And I knew when I got out, I didn't want to go back to college. I was like, I just want to do something that no one would expect me to do.
No one would expect you to do.
No one would expect me to do as far as, like, my family. Because, like, yeah, I played instruments, but they thought I was more into sports.
Right.
And I was at a time, but it switched to music.
Mm-hmm.
But they doubted that because my family is a sports family. Their music second, sports first.
Mm-hmm.
So, and the way that I was going, it was like just up and down pathway in my life, and it was like I never finished anything that I started. I started skateboarding and I started playing basketball. Basketball was the longest thing I kept going to college, but played soccer, played football, I was all over the place. I never like started something and finished it. Because I never found something that I felt like I was really good at.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was just gonna say, is anything ever finished? I mean, unless, I guess what you mean is like, I mean, of course, when you're little, you're gonna start all these things. If you don't pursue them as a professional career, then you're gonna eventually quit them. So
right, but
just quit them.
This led into my early 20s.
Oh, I see.
To the point where I was just floating.
Like, you would just pick something up and then like stop doing it after a little bit, basically.
Well, as I got older, like it was college.
Okay.
I did it for a semester, dropped it, then just floated around. Got kicked out the house, lived here, lived there, drank, just partied, and it was like, man, like when I got to jail and I was getting out, I just knew I was like, man, I gotta do something different. And while in jail, you know, like before being in jail, I discovered freestyling through like hanging with the buddies.
Yeah, so you had some rap history. I mean, like you rapped a little bit, and then you had what's your music background? You sang at church, or is that?
Yeah, my dad's a pastor. I sang in church. Also played saxophone, clarinet, and piano growing up.
Mm-hmm.
But I never rapped because that was all gospel music.
Right.
Long story short, I just said I'm gonna try it.
You know, as you know, playing it's a lot of time. You know, basketball practices all the time, and
it's a job.
Even out of season, and so like once I quit that, I ended on like really bad terms with basketball.
Really?
And I just didn't want any part of it. So I had like a giant space in my life, you know, that needed to be filled, and so I just started rapping, and then coincidentally, popular music started to become shittier and shittier, in my opinion, you know? So, like, the more I was listening to popular rap, I was like, I think that what I'm writing is getting to be as good as this. Now I think it's as good as it. Now I think it's better than it. So I was like, all right, I'm going to start to actually try to do it.
Yeah, so how did you get into, like, when did this happen? When did you start acting? Was this post-college basketball? Because you played college basketball.
Yes, played all the way through college. And then towards the end of my college career, there was that question of whether I wanted to play overseas or professionally, but that wasn't it just wasn't for me. That's it just wasn't kind of. I'd spent so much of my life playing basketball. It was just kind of time for something different.
So you actually felt like you were good to go?
Yeah, I feel like I was done. I mean, like I was doing workouts and stuff for professional.
Yeah.
Tryouts, and it just didn't feel like kind of.
Yeah, I don't think people realize that. I mean, playing professional basketball is cool, but you're changing your entire life to do something like that. Like, I have friends who are over there that I never get to see them, you know what I mean? Like,
and for women, it's also different. I had different ideas for my life, as far as like for a man, if you make it to a certain level, it's like that's the only thing you have to worry about. It's like the NBA or wherever, but like for a woman right now, like it's not as lucrative of.
That's a good point. Like even WNBA, you mean?
Yeah. And so like for me, there were just more variables that played into that.
Right.
Just as far as what I wanted out of life as a whole. I love basketball, but just as far as what it could provide for me and where I felt like I got everything I could get out of it.
And did you? Was part of it like you were like, all right, I'm ready to act. I'm ready to do this shit. Or?
I mean, I always had the acting passion, but that was not why I stopped playing, or that wasn't. I didn't even realize that was the next step for me. And it wasn't for a few years. It wasn't until my mother retired and we took this trip overseas. We were just like chilling. We were out at Dominican Republic before everybody was going. Everybody's going there. But
so the Dominican inspired you to be a movie star.
There were a couple people. There were a few. You know what? I think we talked about this. I talked about this again. With Ill-advised and unprepared a little bit, guys.
That's all right. We can double up.
I was out there and there were just one or two people who like asked if I was a model or if I was out there for a photo shoot, and it just kind of crossed my mind, and I was just like, I've always been like a lanky basketball player, like super long and narrow. And I was like, forget it, I'll give it a shot and stuff. And it kind of snowballed from there. And acting was always the end goal. Yeah. And it kind of presented itself really early on, so I've been pursuing it ever since.
I think that's super interesting because I was playing with this idea or just talking to somebody about it. It's because it seems like you were just ready for a green light. You know what I mean? You were ready for like there's people are built different ways, right? And like some people are like, if you give them the green light, that's all they were waiting for, and it's like it's like a go. Like you needed like a little put. Like some people need to be told they're good even when they're not good or whatever it is, to be like, oh, that's the push forward. And some people don't. Some people need the converse effect too. But that's really interesting because it sounds like you were ready to go. Like,
yeah. And it's part of it is because like it was so different from anything that I've been doing. There's always that like athletics versus the arts. Like when you're in school, it's always like we're.
Why is it? Right, we were just talking about all these athletes that cross over, but why is it that when we were in school, I was like,
it's always right. Like you always just like it's so late. Like the
jocks versus drama.
Like jocks versus drama and stuff. Yeah.
I never got that, but I mean, I don't feel like I was a terrible high school kid. I didn't bully kids that much. I don't think I talked shit to the drama kids, but I'll be honest, I don't think I went out of my way to hang out with them either. You know what I mean? Like I was an athlete.
Right, and they were separate.
And I think that's super weird because every athlete wants to be a fucking movie star. So like,
right, like it's part of that spotlight on you.
All right, I hope you guys enjoyed hearing some of those moments from those conversations I had with Azmattic, Austin, and Tatiana. Obviously, Tatiana was 2 weeks ago at the live show, and Azmattic and Austin were from a little farther back in the day. But it was really good to go back and listen to some of these moments because they can be inspiring. They can remind you of things. Austin's story about being in jail and finding his voice and whatnot is, a lot of people, those kind of things happen. Me, Azmattic, and Tatiana, the three of us kind of have that like college sports turning into arts type similarity. So I find that very interesting. I'm sure if you guys have heard the podcast, you've heard me bring up that concept so many times about going from athletes to artists. It just is a very common theme with this show, and I'm glad that they were willing to share that. So these next couple moments that I have here highlight how some of these people create. I have our very first episode that we ever did on the show was with an artist and painter by the name of Orbe, and he talks a little bit about one of the methods he uses to create, similar to like freestyling. So one of those methods, and then I got a little bit from Kevin Vell of the Hi-Rky, who we had on earlier this year, and they talk a little bit about how they create, how they start, some of the some of the thought process that goes in when you start and you start trying to become an artist and you start creating and stuff. So yeah, enjoy some of these highlights.
How do you develop? I mean, obviously for a song, you can be like, if you go through a breakup, you're like, I want to do a breakup song or something like that. But I feel like painting and art is a little bit different. So like, where do you get your ideas from a lot of times for new pieces?
Well, I exercise, meaning I doodle, whatever, I smoke a nice swisher or a zigzag.
He said swisher, I like that. He said or zigzag.
And yeah, man, I love swisher, smoked it for a long time, but I'm a paper smoker.
Hey, I don't hate on it. The only thing that's a little aggressive is obviously, Wiz is the big on the papers and he's gotten us in, but he's so against blunts. And health-wise, I understand, but like, don't make me feel bad about it. Come on, Wiz, my boy.
But as far as to answer your question, yeah, I doodle. I'll smoke and sit there with a piece of paper and just draw whatever comes to mind. And sometimes that random idea that's not really processed becomes something great or something more than just a little doodle.
Really? See, that's awesome. So that's actually really cool to learn. It's like so sometimes you'll just be drawing something. And so how often would you say that you doodle and you actually get an idea for a painting out of it? Like what's the percentage?
Oh, man. You could say a good 40%, 50%.
See, that's legit. So then why aren't you just always fucking doodling? You should just be always doodling.
Well, man, I guess when anybody who starts to make music, what's the first thing that, I'm gonna get famous tomorrow?
Right. Of course.
Tomorrow I'm gonna be famous. But
well, it's crazy because we are finally in a culture, not finally, but we are in a culture where that is not that it's possible.
Well,
I mean, it's not realistic for anybody, but it's actually possible. It's crazy.
It was always possible.
Yeah.
There are so many records right now that you.
It wasn't always possible to happen as quick as it is now. Those one-hit wonders back in the day, like guys like.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, but they had to get record deals to even be a one-hit wonder. I'm actually curious about how that would go. To be a one-hit wonder back in the day, you had to even get a platform because, first off, you had to get studio time. It wasn't as easy as it is. Now it's just somebody got a MacBook. Who's got it's crazy. So that's crazy. But no, of course, that's everybody in the beginning. You're naive and you think and first off, you think that that's your goal too, probably. Right. Like you think that that's what is the goal.
Oh, and I would say that's a great point. Like goals and what you plan to do with music.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people question us why don't you sell your beats as much? Why don't you put your beats? Because we're really looking for something, and I guess and now that we have so much material that is at a level that we can say, okay, hey Kanye, hey Quincy, you know what I'm saying? Look, just listen to our music. We don't care if you like it or not. We'll keep working regardless.
You got the Kanye contact or what?
No, I'm
just holding out on it.
No, I'm just saying.
You're confident enough in the work now.
Exactly.
Welcome back. Hope you enjoyed those clips from Orbe and Kevin Vell of the Hi-Rky. We have not only had artists on this show, artists, musicians, actors, but we've also had some journalist types or media types, from the other side of the sphere, entertainment world. Whereas not so much the creating the content, but assessing the content and driving the content. So we've had a couple of people who have done that. First and foremost, Myke Marucci, who is been a part of my career for a while because he's posted a lot of my music, shared my music. He was my first ever radio interview and things like that. So I had him on the show, and he talks a little bit about we were talking a little bit about just movie reviews and those kind of things and how people critique things and getting into that. So this is a brief clip about us talking about how to assess critique and whatnot. But if you want to hear the whole conversation between me and him, you should go check it out because we talk a little bit more about that. He definitely dabbles into how he plays with the idea of, you know, throwing hot button issues out there, seeing people's responses, and then responding to that. He talks about how he does that. And then following, right after his clip right here, I have the guys from the Next Wave blog, the Next Wave from Chicago. It's a Chicago hip hop blog, but it's very interesting. I let them answer like what their favorite articles were that they've written at this, you know, early juncture in their career. But it's interesting. Those of you who know me know that I have a journalist background. Crash keeps falling over here on the table. Know that I have a journalism background, and I wrote for the newspaper in college and stuff like that. And so those things are very intriguing to me, and I like hearing these kinds of things from that side of it rather than the creating side as well. So yeah, enjoy a couple clips from me with Myke Marucci and the Next Wave.
You know, I would be curious as to how a lot of movie critics get their jobs. I wonder, is it all just like getting a journalism degree, or is it like being a successful director? Because then you know like pretty much a lot of sides of film. Like what? I'm curious because like I would think the best critiques could come from somebody who made films.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Rather than somebody who's just a journalist and is just watching. Not saying that they couldn't know, but it's like your review could be better when you know all what's going into everything. I feel like.
Yeah, like my thing about it is anybody can be a critic. It's just on how you piece together your opinion.
Yeah, so that's where the journalism side comes in, because you
Yeah.
want to be able to write it. Yeah, that's
Exactly.
true. I mean, you want to be able to formulate opinion that can like relay to people. All right, what's your favorite? So you guys have both written articles. What's your favorite article that you've written? Already published.
It's an article that I wrote at the very beginning, and it's actually not even about music, because something that I'm very deep and passionate about is politics and like social justice and social injustices. So I personally like know like whatever your party is, whatever you voted for, that's you.
So you can say fuck Trump on here.
Yeah, fuck Trump.
You can
I
say
guys gotta say that.
We've done it before.
But in general, I wrote a piece called Love Trump's Hate.
Okay.
And just basically talking about ways that after the election, people who were feeling kind of crushed and defeated or feeling that the tides were turning on them could fight back in a positive way without having to lash out with violence or any type of negativity. So that's per my personal favorite.
That's awesome. I gotta check that out. I want to send that.
Yeah. So also one of the first couple articles I wrote was how branding can make a difference in the music community and how correct branding can lead to making big moves in your comments.
Yeah.
I took like Kanye's branding of the teddy bear that he used.
Yeah.
And Chance's like the number 3 on his hat, and how that branding was really crucial in like getting the audience.
Absolutely. Did you see the gallery at the?
The graduation.
Dude, that was
sick.
Yeah.
We're having a fun time over here, just celebrating the year, celebrating 2018, and I hope you guys are enjoying some of these fun clips. These next couple ones I have are great because they're kind of stories. They're just supposed to be relatable for other artists who create. This first one coming up is a friend of the show who's been on twice. He's been on my album. We've made some music together. We just did a show last month or whenever that was, and we've done a couple shows together. It's Varsity. So Varsity from Chicago, he's a rapper, very talented, really kind of starting to blow up right now. So shout out to him, big fan. But this moment I'm gonna highlight right here is I thought was interesting because he's talking about the concept for his project that he's working on and getting ready to release, and how it deals with relationships and talks about a girl and stuff like that. But what I thought was interesting, because I can relate because I do it myself, was talking about how you break up stories and can use parts of them to then create a greater story in your art, and balancing that and telling your friend, like trying to admit to the people that are in the story or that think they're the stories about them, is that like, yo, it's not all from this, it's like a percentage from this, percentage from this. I fuse stories together. I find that very interesting because that is something that I've always tried to do, and you try to take bits of truth from other things and then create a greater truth, and I find that very interesting. Listen to Brad talk about that real quick.
This one project is called Girl, but it's like all caps and it's G1RL. And the reason for that, I mean, I kind of, it's not all about one girl, which might get misconstrued, but it's just like one as in like all the girls that I've been with, into one, you know? That's just kind of my idea with it.
Yeah, no, I can relate to that because you can correct me, but I would imagine what that means is like you can. This is what I try to do so people don't take stories too literal. Anyways, is mesh stories together, and you pick what you want and you use that, and that is a perfect example of that because you can. Use stories from. Honestly, I've done that exact same thing with certain songs, certain singles. So like you mesh stories together and whatnot because like first off, it's like making a movie. You can play up the better parts and you don't get in trouble personally.
Exactly. I've definitely been like asked like, who'd you write that song about? Yeah. I'm like, well, this one girl is about 70% of like the inspiration for that, and then this girl just it's like, I
like that you break up the percentages. It's like 70-30 here, it's like 70-50.
I guess it was about her, but like also like she didn't do some of that shit. This girl did some of that shit. So it's like,
no. I got you. First off, you know what that's called is a creative license. Yeah,
exactly.
You get some liberty, artistic liberty.
There's plenty of artists that just like they're so good at storytelling they could just write a story about shit that didn't even happen. You would ask them and they could tell you that it happened and you'd believe the fuck out of it.
Yeah, of course. When I say that like the creative license in a joking manner, I mean that for real though.
Yeah.
Like, that is absolutely what if you're want to be a storyteller and an artist, like that is a part of your job to like 100%. Take liberties and create other truths with them. Especially if you're trying to get at the same point, it doesn't matter. Like
even with like wordplay too. Like if you want to say a word like this, even though everyone says it like this,
it's fine. Eminem's dead. Listen to Eminem. Yeah. Eminem doesn't say any word right.
And that's like I think that's like so cool. Just so like because it's just like I say adrenaline instead of adrenaline in one song. It's cool. just because it like. Yeah.
No, it is a cool thing, and I think it's unique to rap because I don't really think that happens in other genres. Not really. All right. Well, I hope you enjoyed B-Rad Varsity talking about how his new project is broken down in terms of who the stories are about and shit like that, and dealing with that. I thought that was very very cool, very interesting. Another fun episode I had was the super talented Rob Sheppard. He is just multi-talented artist. He does a lot of different things, but super skilled rapper, musician, and I had him on, and we talked about a lot of different stuff. You should definitely go check out that episode. But the clip I'm gonna show you, I thought it highlights a struggle that a lot of us young rappers and young artists have to deal with. And like, not to say it's too big of a deal and try to whine too much, but the whole idea of selling your own tickets and having to go to a friend's house and sell a ticket or something like that, which some of the awkward moments that can come from those things are very real. And I'm not saying it's the worst thing in the world, but it's still it's worth talking about, especially with somebody else who can relate. So I think this is an interesting moment. Rob talks about trying to sell some tickets to some friends and dealing with some of those awkward moments and whatnot. And I can relate. I hear you, brother. So enjoy this clip. I'm sure you still do it, and I've done it for a long time. Is the actually personally selling tickets?
Yeah.
Oh man, it's weird. It's weird.
It
weird.
Depends who you're selling them to, like what it's like. There was one time I had a kid come. He asked for tickets, so I met up with him, handed him the tickets, and he thought I was giving them to him for free.
Yeah.
And then literally, said he didn't have cash, and I was like, oh.
And you still want him to come to the show?
Yeah, I was like, oh, all right, it's cool. He's like, I'll give you money, at the show. And then, I saw him at the show, and he still never gave me any shit. And it was, I don't know, he realized that he'd done something, really fucking rude, and then, yeah, that wasn't interesting.
Yeah.
Things you definitely lose, there's been plenty of times where I've lost money on, those shows.
Yeah, because then you also, in my head, was also balancing out, I would almost rather have them be a fan, you know, and, be there. And,
yeah, that's how it is. In that moment, you're like, all right, I'm going to be the nice, because, you're asking them to come to some shit that you're fucking...
I think it's just a weird thing that every young artist pretty much has to go through, because you don't get to the point where you have a ticket link that you send to everybody until you've gone through all that shit.
Oh yeah, hell yeah. That's a part of, I feel like that's a part of the process. There's some artists that don't have to do that, they'll never do that, but I think it's a great experience. It's putting yourself out there, going through those moments.
No, it's the quote I heard recently. Actually, I wrote a song
that goes with it kind of is like he was like, oh, you're gonna, who was it? Some old comedian or something that said, he was like, yeah, you're gonna want more war stories. It's like an old veteran thing to say, but it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Sense. I mean, as long as you get out of them. It's easy to say that, you get out of them.
Yeah, if you know, if you can look back on it in a good way.
Be like, that, made me, I mean, usually, that's the zoomed out perspective, is if you can be in the shit and then be like, oh, but how am I going to benefit from this?
Yeah.
After, like, when you're in the shit.
Very interesting stuff. I hope his friend paid him for those tickets. I hope eventually they did, and I hope maybe they're still friends. If he didn't, maybe they're not friends. Who knows? But I have felt that and felt those emotions. It can be weird. So I got a couple more I'm gonna leave you with before we end this episode. First, this artist by the name of Lex Trifecta was on. I believe it was episode 17. Very good talk. I like that I got to go back and pick these clips out because, like, I don't remember all these conversations completely, and going back to do this is nice. I thought me and him, when we talked, there's some gems in here, and there's some good wisdom that he tried to voice, and I think we had some good conversations. So I have several clips from him, from me and his conversation, that I'm gonna play. I'm just gonna have those go in succession. We just get into some deeper, like, meaning shit, like life meaning stuff, and like what and how he got to the point that he got to with his Save the World movement that he's trying to do. And it was just pretty, he was an inspiring guy, and it was a good talk. So I'm gonna play a couple of these clips here, and then I got a couple more that I'll share with you guys on the other side. Enjoy.
I heard a quote the other day which made me feel so much better, because I was really overwhelmed with stuff and I just felt like I'm not getting anything done. Was generally the more busier you are, the more you get done, which is weird, but it's true.
Well, here's what I've kind of figured this out, and the best way to explain this is like through a business sense, but I'm talking about the universe.
Right. Okay. Right.
So let's say Passion Park Entertainment has a budget, right, for the whole year, and if you, at the end of the year, spent under your budget, and let's say like this is a big corporate entity that's funding Passion Park, you spent under your budget, what's going to happen next year? So they're going to give you what you spent.
Yeah, okay.
You know? And the same principle kind of applies with the universe and how much energy you spend. If you don't spend energy, you're not going to be given it.
Slowly decrease too.
But if you push yourself further and you use more than you have, it will again be given to you.
Yeah. Well, it's like lifting weights or something. You can, if you lift 100, the next time you can lift 115 or something like that. Just that saying, I get that analogy. That makes a lot of sense. I mean, yeah, you're right, because it's, what I said early on when I started making a bunch of music was, I knew it wasn't good, but I was like, I just want to set up or at least the thought process I had, I think changed a little bit, but was, I want to do enough work so that when it is good, I'm already used to doing the work.
Yes,
what I mean?
dude. And it's so important to get those snapshots of where you are in your life, and it's so easy to just, I'm still working, but not, okay, what do you have? Finish it, get it out. You need it. It's part of the process.
Yeah, you're not giving away, you're holding back a pice of you if you don't.
Yes, dude, and that's not healthy. After a while, sometimes it is.
Yeah, right. I think there's, you were mentioning success. I'm a firm believer that success is about perspective. Success you can say like, financial success comparative to, something else like that. I get it. That's like a literal thing. But as far as just success, that's all about perspective to me. It's really more about happiness, I would imagine. But I don't know.
Well, these are two things I have written on my wall. And so the way that I'm looking at it right now is that my happiness is dependent on whether I have an impact at all on anyone.
Yeah.
And my success is defined by the magnitude of that impact.
Love that. I really do. That's very simple and great. And why doesn't everybody live like that? No, helping people feels good.
Yes, dude.
It does. So yeah, sometimes when you're being helpful to somebody, you could say, "Oh, that's selfish," but it's a good way of being. There are good ways to be selfish.
Yes.
There's a good way to be selfish by helping other people, and more people need to think like that.
And so that's kind of like a lot of where the philosophy of Save the World stems from. And I'm going to take a step back from what you just said, because the first consideration of Save the World is saving your world first. Mm-hmm. And that pretty much means that you're no use to anyone if you're broken or if you're not right with yourself, Whatever that means to you, it could mean a million things. That your first priority is to improve yourself and to enjoy yourself. After that, you have access to the abundance that everyone's lying to you about, saying it doesn't exist.
Right.
Oh, this is scarce and this is scarce. That's like, it's a lie. It's abundant, it's in you. Yeah. Find it and then share it.
Can't change the world unless we change ourselves.
And if everyone saved their worlds, the world would save itself. Lying to yourself sucks.
But people do it all the time. We do it to ourselves all the time.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Me too.
Our brains are smart, but they're also really dumb. Like all the time, the gym thing, for example. It's like our brain knows that getting a workout in will probably make you feel better. But most of the time, you're like, I'm not gonna do it. You know?
Resistance. That's what everyone struggles with. That's what I struggle with. Resistance for the things I know that are good for me because they're difficult to start.
Yeah.
Not even to do or finish. They're just difficult to start.
It's true. Starting things is always that's a good point. Yeah. Starting is the hardest, right?
It's hard. It's hard. And I think that everyone's capable of great change. I really do think so. And my responsibility, I thought, was to like change people, but I realized, one, that's just a terrible attitude to have, dude. That's so ego. It's not the realest.
It's a natural feeling to jump to, but then you have to realize, it's not the right one though. And it's not nobody changes when somebody tells them to change. That's just not how it happens. Yeah.
I just want to be a good role model.
Yeah.
You know? And I wanna there's so many people in the world who have inspired me and have shown me that it's possible. And now that I'm like, oh wow, like I believe it, I'm seeing it, wow, this is possible. I've changed a lot. I would love it if like everyone else changed, because we all need to change. It's natural, it's part of life.
Yeah, I hope you enjoyed some wisdom from Lex Trifecta. He's a very wise, bright young man, making things happen. So we've had a lot of artists and of all sorts on the show, as you guys have seen. The one comedian we've had was Josh, our good friend Josh Ejnes from the show. He's also a musician, does other stuff, but he does comedy, so we had him on. And he's a very hilarious guy. We had another great conversation, so make sure you check that out. But one of the highlights that I thought, and I wanted to make sure you guys heard, was him talking about him and his group bandmate. They have a group where they production duo. They produce music, make music together. Him talking about them assessing their target audience is pretty funny stuff. So enjoy.
And I've been listening to like a lot more pop music too. So like the Comfort Zone EP.
It says pop.
Yeah, we were trying to like make kind of a composite of like pop music we were listening to. Like the Late Night Game song has a lot of kind of production elements we heard in like Justin Bieber songs.
Beeps.
Yeah.
No, it sounds pop.
Layering and then like the clock sound effect he does in one of his songs.
Yeah, I thought that was. Let me see. I had that pulled up. What does it say? The description says like something else pop. Like we like pop music or something like that.
Yeah, it's like we make pop music for teens.
Something like that. Yeah, it's funny, but that does sound poppy. Like that record for sure.
It's kind of one of the things we talk about is like we think the people that enjoy our music the most, because we're friends with like a lot of more like hipster type people who like. They don't like hate on us, but it's definitely not like the type of music that they listen to.
Yeah,
and we're like, this is like the music like an 8th grader. Like we don't know any 8th graders, and we don't know how to get our music to them. So we gotta hope like some pop somewhere and some 8th grader sees it.
So Comfort Zone's target audience is 8th graders.
Yeah, 8th graders, high schoolers. I remember.
It's a great target audience, by the way. They buy merch.
Well,
they
that's
buy
the thing. Yeah, that's the thing that blow up. And then I remember like the first time. Do you know Alex Dragovich?
Yeah, no,
I sent him, before we put it out, I sent him Late Night Games, and he messaged back, he's like, this sounds like a song that a freshman that dates seniors would listen to after they get broken up with. I was like, damn. That's
pretty good.
Oh, how about that? Target audience, 8th graders, high schoolers, just a great section. I thought that was hilarious what their friend Alex's comment was about what they thought their target fan base was. So that was funny. Great conversation with Josh. Super talented guy. So make sure you go check him out. I got one more clip I'm going to share with you guys. Good friend of the show. Another great conversation we had. This is really just a story, though. It's not. It's a little bit. It's probably the longest clip I think I'm sharing from here. It's Colin Iwanski, who's episode 10 of the show. It's him telling a story about when they performed in Nashville and one of the fun patrons and customers who was there, who was taking care of them throughout their set. So I think it's a good story to end on. It was a good talk that me and him had. So enjoy, and I'll catch you on the other side for a little outro here. But enjoy me with Colin talking about crazy time in Nashville.
You played a show in Nashville last week.
We did. There's actually kind of a funny story with that show. So it ended up it was just like a random occurrence that we happened to actually play that show. Charlie was at a bar on Thursday. The sound guy was like, "Hey man, our band for Friday kind of canceled on us. Do you mind coming in and just playing?" And he was like, "Yeah, sure." The guy's like, "I can't really pay you much. I'll give you like $100, just come in, but you can put out your tip jar."
Yeah.
So tipping is like a huge thing in Nashville.
Yeah.
Something that makes me personally very uncomfortable. Like I don't like asking people for money.
But I've seen that. I've been in Nashville once and I saw that everywhere.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's like Nashville. I mean, we could have a whole conversation sometime about like the craziness of just Nashville.
Oh, that was going to come up.
Totally. Yeah, we can bring it up. But that's a crazy place. But there's tipping involved lots of times. So we have a tip jar out.
Yeah.
3 songs in, this guy takes a $100 bill, sticks it in our tip jar, and says, "Play that Leonard Skinner song." So in Nashville, certain songs are like cost more money to get a band to play. Freebird is a $100 song.
Really?
So if someone because people fucking yell Freebird.
Yeah, of course.
Freebird. Yeah. So
it's like if you're gonna yell that shit out, you gotta give me $100.
You gotta give me $100. That's like the going rate for that song.
That's
so
hilarious.
If they're gonna play, it's $100. So this guy takes $100.
It's kind of respectable.
It is. It's a hard song. Not hard for vocals, but like hard for everything else. It's like 8 minutes long. Guitar is like. I don't imagine how his hand stays on.
I've seen people play Guitar Hero.
Yeah. I'm familiar. I respect that. Yeah. So that was So that happens. He puts $100 in there. We start playing Freebird. Sometimes I get a little into my music, and as a musician, maybe you do this too. Do you ever have this thing where you like kind of close your eyes during a song?
I try to get there more because like I want to get there more because I hate thinking about. You shouldn't be thinking about other stuff. It's the best. I think it's the best when you are, but I guess it can be you can also just lose what's going on.
Sometimes, right? Yeah, I think so. And for like slower songs, I think maybe I do it more. I kind of close my eyes, try to like get into the music, So I'm closing my eyes, I'm getting into the song. It's not my favorite song in the world. Period. It's not a super fun song to.
Well, see, I think I would have a tough time doing that if I was doing like a cover.
Yeah.
Because like, it's my words. I feel like
totally.
you can really get you almost have to really make it really good. But with the cover, that's interesting.
It's true. Yeah, with the cover, I was trying to get into it. Because you want to. Also, sometimes I think I close my eyes on stage. It's because I don't want to look at the audience. I'm just gonna pretend. I think that's where it started. I mean, sometimes,
Yeah, right.
Audience is just beautiful. Beautiful.
If you pay for a ticket.
You're fucking beautiful. Okay, so I'm closing my eyes during the song. And I like kind of like come out of my reverie, and I realize there are just dollar bills scattered all over the stage. So this guy went to the bar, gave them $200, got $200 in $1 bills, and starts literally making it rain on stage. It was super weird.
Yeah, it's very odd.
So then, at this point, he tipped us $300. And he's like calling out songs that we don't know, because like in Nashville, you can call out requests, right? So you give us $100 for that song. I think he was expecting us to keep doing that all night.
But we have a set to do.
Yeah, we have like a set, man. We don't know like these country songs. He was asking for like Pantera, and it's like, no, man, we're not gonna play Pantera. I'm not a huge fan of Pantera either. Also, it's just like inappropriate for like a nice sit down evening. I'd be like, hey, can you play a little Slayer, Raining Blood for us? He was legit asking for Slayer, and Pantera's like, no, man, we're not gonna play this.
Who is this guy? Is this like an older guy?
Well, I'll get to who he is because he has his own backstory. It's a many layered story here. All right, cool. So we finish the first set, whatever. We go off. He like buys us a shot or two, and I thought he was joking when he said this, but I don't think he was anymore. He pulled out this like giant wad of cash, like super flashy, he wants people to know how much money he has.
Of course. Well, he just threw out $300.
$300, right? He wants people to know. And he says like, oh yeah, I don't go anywhere with less than $2,000. And I was like, oh, okay, sure. And then the rest of the night happens. I'm like, oh, he definitely does that. That's totally true. So we go on for our second set. Once again, we're like 2 or 3 songs in. He's like, Colin, I requested, like, we have no idea. Like, oh man, I don't know fucking Metallica's Back to Black off the top of my head. It's a great song. Or, whatever, Metallica, whatever. Metallica fans are really gonna hate me after that, and especially
I have a feeling that I don't have that many Metallica fans.
You know, you might not. That's
maybe
fair.
for this episode will be the crossover. I'll definitely put the hashtag in the promotion.
Yeah, that's gonna be embarrassing. But okay, cool. So there's that.
Colin talks about how much he loves Metallica.
Loves Metallica, my favorite, greatest band of all time, up there with the Beatles, really. So. He keeps calling these songs. We don't know him. He eventually calls out, like, do you guys know any Guns N' Roses songs? Like, after all of this.
Right.
We're like, yeah, we know one. Like, as I'm getting those words out of my mouth, he takes a fistful of $5 bills and just chucks them at the stage. So, after we counted it, because we played the song, we were going to play it anyway.
Yeah.
He was like, I want to hear fucking
Oh, you were going to play it?
We were going to play it. It was already in the set. We're like, it was actually going to be our last song. He was like,
that's funny.
Fine, we'll play it now, I guess.
That's funny.
He tipped us $500.
Oh, God.
That's crazy money.
What kind of drugs do you think he deals?
I don't know.
He's for sure a drug dealer.
Actually, I do know what kind of drug he deals. He's a Bitcoin guy.
Oh, what?
He's a Bitcoin millionaire, according to him. So he told a lot of people a lot of things that night. So I don't really know who this guy was, but he was like swearing up and down he's a Bitcoin millionaire. Based on like how much money he's just throwing around, kind of seems like he could be. Like.
Thank you guys for tuning in to the first ever best of episode for the David Lopez Show. I hope you enjoyed 2018. We thoroughly did enjoy the year, and I'll speak for myself and say that I'm proud of the movements that we're making in the right direction. I feel a lot of progress, a lot of things to work on and get better on, a lot of things that I wish we would have got accomplished that maybe didn't get accomplished, a lot of things that I didn't even have planned that have happened. So I'm excited for where things are going. I'm very very thankful, very appreciative for all the support we've been getting. So thank you for that. I hope you enjoyed this best of episode. If you really enjoyed any of the clips, make sure to go watch the full episode. Make sure to subscribe on YouTube, subscribe on SoundCloud, subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts. Please support, like, share, comment. I'm going to leave you with my newest record. It is called Late Nights. It is a new single from me. It is coming on So Much More too. Like I've said a bajillion times, that album is coming soon. I'm very excited. I want to say thank you to everybody who's been streaming this so far and listening to this. I'm working on some potential visuals and potential more singles and stuff like that to keep the content rolling. So I'm going to leave you guys with the artwork and the single called Late Nights, produced by Drumlord, by me, David Lopez. So enjoy. Thank you all. One love. Happy holidays.
On these late nights, if I'm ringing, then we cutting. On these late nights, if we chillin', then we toking. On these late nights, I sip whiskey, you sit with me. On these late nights, I hit the road and you miss me. Thought you knew the deal when you started fucking with me. Ain't the one to fall for, but now I see you trippin'. All your friends warned you, but you don't ever listen. Always do your own thing, solo dolo with your missions. Well, baby, I'm a rolling stone. Try to lock me down, you'll likely be hurting alone. Ain't gon' lie, I feel you though. Chemistry so strong, hard to explain this bond. When I hit your line, it's on like that Drizzy Drake song. On these late nights, if I'm ringing, then we cutting. On these late nights, if we chillin', then we toking. On these late nights, I sip whiskey, you sit with me. On these late nights, I hit the road and you miss me. On these late nights, if I'm ringing, then we cutting. On these late nights, if we chillin', then we toking. On these late nights, I sip whiskey, you sit with me. On these late nights, I hit the road and you miss me. Every time we link, we so in sync. Bye-bye, I dip, I can't commit, but you stay around and I must admit you too down and I'm up for it. Every time we link, we so in sync. Bye-bye, I dip, I can't commit, but you stay around and I must admit you too down and I'm up for it. She say, tell me what we doing when we doing what we doing. I say, why you always ask? She say, I deserve to know. Short answer is you know. I gotta hit the road. And if it's truth be told, you done changed my mind, stuck around lost time. Now I gotta know. I never thought before. On these late nights, I could find so much more. Chemistry so strong, hard to explain this bond. When I ring, you know it's on like that Drizzy Drake song. On these late nights,
chillin', then we tokin'. On these late nights, I sip whiskey, you sit with me. On these late nights, I hit the road and you miss me. On these late nights, if I'm ringing, then we cuttin'. On these late nights, if we chillin', then we tokin'. On these late nights, I sip whiskey, you sit with me. On these late nights, I hit the road and you miss me.
On these late nights, 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 on these late nights.